Today I'm going to talk to you about children. These are children who have my heart, and I hope that they will have yours too. These are children whose parents have trusted me with their stories. They trust that I have traveled halfway around the world to tell these stories to you in hopes that we can change the narrative for these kids. I'm telling you this because I'm going to trust you with their stories also. You see, these are kids who don't see themselves in the places that matter. They don't see themselves in the movies. They don't see themselves in the books that they read. And they don't see themselves in the toys that they play with. That's a problem. I hope that you, by the end of this, see how important it is that we rally together. It seems silly to have to explain this to a room full of adults, but you might be surprised to learn that every day kids like these face comments that are cruel and leave lasting emotional wounds. They hear things like, "Why do you look like that? What happened to you? Why do you look so scary?" And I want you to imagine being 4 or 5 years old and hearing that on a daily basis. That's not the kind of global community we want to be. And that's why I'm here today. I'm actually going to talk to you about power and how we can use our power for good. For this, we're going to talk about something that a lot of you will like: superheroes and superpowers. For this, I actually consulted an expert, my son. He told me everything I need to know about superheroes. So I'm going to tell you, okay? When we think of superheroes, we typically think of physical power, right? Superhuman abilities. Think about Superman, okay? Superman can fly and he has amazing strength. How about Spider-Man? He has incredible agility and he can spin webs from his fingers. Think about the Hulk. Even the Hulk, he has incredible physical force. And that's what we think of when we think of physical power. That's what we think of when we think of power. We think of something, an ability. But let me tell you this: superheroes are more than physical strength, right? One of the reasons we love them is because they have core strength. It's not what's out here, it's what's in here. And that's why we love them. So I'm told that the really good superhero movies are the ones that have characters that are relatable, right? They're like us. They're flawed. They're imperfect. They struggle with what their purpose is. And we look at them and we think, that could be me. And I'm also told by my brilliant son that superheroes could be anyone, right? It's not necessarily something that's chosen at birth, but you come into your power. And that's really important. Power isn't always about ability, it's about purpose. That's what we love about superheroes. But here's the truth: we all have superpowers. We all have superpowers. It's not what we do with it, right? It's how we're going to use it to help other people. So we've known each other now for 4 minutes and 27 seconds. I feel like we know each other pretty well, right? I can tell you this: I actually have a superpower. Just a second. No, I'm just kidding. What I was going to do was yes. You thought that underneath this, maybe I had an emblem, maybe a cape, but what did I just tell you? I told you that superheroes could be anyone, right? It's the average person. It's using what you have for something greater than yourself. Okay, you might not believe me, right? What if I told you that I can turn this into this. Okay, you're not convinced. That's okay, because I didn't think you would be. What if I told you that I can turn those into this? So you might be wondering what it is that I do. I'm a doll maker, and I make dolls for kids who don't see themselves on the store shelves. These are kids that don't see themselves anywhere really important, really the places that matter. And I'm telling you that because we have to think about what that does to a child. It tells them who we do and who we don't value, right? Now I've devoted my life to making sure that children around the world feel seen, that they can experience what it feels like to look into the face of a doll and see their own. I was going to tell you about the magic of dolls because truly it is magical. What the child attaches to in this doll, I don't know that we will ever understand. But I was also told that people that go to TEDx talks don't like to hear that it's magic. So, lucky for you, my master's thesis was on the healing power of play. So I did a lot of research about play, and I want to share a couple of things with you because I think that this is important when we think about who we see and how we see them, right? What message we're telling children about who we value and what they need to look like so that we do value them. So let me tell you a few things, okay? There are nearly 240 million children around the world that have some type of a disability. And recently, disability was expanded to include physical, medical, and now psychosocial, right? That there are things that you often don't see physically different. Psychologists who study play say that dolls are among the most important toys in the world of play. Now, there are approximately, and I want you to think about this one, approximately 58 million Barbies are sold every year. That is 100 Barbies per minute. I want you to also think about this. A lack of representation in a child's toy box can send harmful messages, ranging from people that look like me don't matter to there is no one else that looks like me. Now, I talk to somebody pretty regularly. I talk to an expert who knows a lot about this, and I've talked to her for a long time because she helps me understand what's happening and what I'm doing. She's also very smart, really cute as well. It's me. That's me. And I would argue that I have trained for this my entire life. I played with dolls until it was no longer socially acceptable. And after that, then I started making them because essentially that's like playing with them. And my first job out of graduate school was in a pediatric oncology unit, which meant that I worked with kids who have cancer. And my best tools were the toys that I brought to play with the kids because that is how you work out what's happening. Right? That's how you work. That's the world of kids. But the dolls didn't look like the kids that were playing with them. That's a problem, right? Shouldn't the dolls look like the kids who love them? I think so too. The doll making was not started with intention. It's one of those, I'm going to have to say it again, I'm sorry, TEDx fans, it's magical. This is something that I felt I needed to do. And I was making dolls for fun. And a parent saw one on social media. Social media has been incredibly powerful for the dolls. And she said, that's the doll. I want that exact doll, except I want her to have an amputated leg. My daughter lost her leg to cancer. Could you make that same doll like her? And I did. And in 2 months, okay, 2 months, I had over 200 doll orders from people around the world looking for a similar doll. It's a bit overwhelming, but what it tells you is that the need to be seen transcends culture, right? That is a very simplistic need for children. I think this came at a time in my life when I was searching for purpose. When you talk about what your purpose is, I think we all want to do something. We all want to make a difference. But we have a million reasons not to. Me too. I'm too busy. I don't have enough money. I'm a student. I'm too old. I'm too young. Whatever it might be, there's a million reasons not to. But I want to tell you about a story that will tell you why you should. So there was a doll that I was working on for a little girl named Hope. And I don't find that her name is ironic. And I was making a doll for Hope, and Hope has Poland syndrome, which means that she has one unaffected hand and one hand with a limb difference. And not only that, she has a birthmark that travels up her arm. And I was working on the doll, and this same son walked in and said, "What are you working on?" And I said, I cannot figure out how to make this doll. I'm going to have to tell her mom I can't do it. And he said, "Oh, you'll figure it out." And I was like, "I don't think I can do this." And he looked at me, and it's one of those moments that you never forget. You remember exactly where you were standing. And I was at my kitchen counter, and he said, "If you think it's hard to make, imagine what it's like for her to live with." I made the doll because nothing humbles you like a child. And I want to show you what happened. What do you think about that doll? You love it? And that is how the dolls started. It became not just my purpose, but it became almost an obsession because there are children around the world who need to feel that type of inclusion. Could it come from anything else? Perhaps, but there is something magical about a doll. To date, over 2,000 dolls have made their way around the world to all 50 United States and over 35 countries. We're about to add 36 because one is coming with me to Italy. Now, I want to tell you where the dolls have been, because I think that's really important, that this becomes an extension of the child. This is literally represents the child. So they go to war zones, to military hospitals. They accompany children in surgical areas where the parents are no longer able to go. They go to school with kids, where kids so desperately want their peers to see who they are. They rest in arms of siblings and families who have had to say goodbye way too soon. They attend celebrations and milestones. They go to endless hospital visits and doctor office visits. And perhaps most importantly, they are validating, reassuring, and comforting in a world that often isn't. So what if I asked you this? If you could have any superpower, what would you pick? Actually, the better question, though, is this. What would you do with it? If for the next 2 weeks you could have any superpower you wanted, how would you use it? Remember, there is no perfect time. There is no right moment to use your superpower. And these are things that you already have. These are the core qualities. Remember at the beginning, I told you that what makes the superhero isn't his physical ability, it's his choices. It's things like integrity. It's your intelligence. It's your creativity. It's your empathy. It's your kindness. Those are the superpowers that I'm talking about. So what would you choose? It isn't about if you have the power, it's how you choose to use it.